Ladies and gentlemen, I was going to say a young guy here, but these guys grow up so quickly that I'll put a blank there and maybe you can fill in the blanks when you see who it is. He's the son of a person I respect highly, passed away. And I, in doing one of the elders from the club here in Scarborough, it was always my premise to take one of the younger players. Because for me, in doing the history of the soccer here in Toronto, one of the obstacles and one of the hindrances over the years for me, I found is the transition from clubs or teams. And this club has done a good job, uh, excellent job, if I must say. And I wanted to bring this guy a while now. If you go back in the interviews, you'll realize this was pending. And for you out there who it's clearing close to the end, but we try to bring in some ingredients to just balance off for the now. We do in the past, as I said, we're trying to do the present, kind of projecting the future. So without further ado, I'll introduce this guy. This guy could give you his name and his background. Normally, I ask people for when they came, but maybe he can do a compromise on that. So could you introduce yourself? You'll see the resemblance.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Alwyn. My name is Roderick John. I was born in Trinidad, and I came to Canada in 1977. I am the son of Rita and Joseph, also known as Smokey John. A pleasure to be here today.
Okay, now understanding the preempt that you came very early, around 5 and stuff. How you evolve in the game and how you manage to be very instrumental in the transition of Scarborough Caribbean. So we're gonna take it slowly because you
Okay,
sent me some pictures here and I realize you have a lot of history and
excellent.
you've been keeping up to date. You're one of the most pictures I got. So when did you actually get into the game here and how did you get into the game?
I got into the game, funny enough, when I was younger, I had a few health concerns that when we visited a doctor, they determined that I was allergic to several things. And my father had asked the doctor a question after they told him that they wanted to give me needles regularly, if that would help my condition with my allergies. The doctor was not able to give him a guarantee. And from the early age of 7, we started doing an exercise regime, myself and my brothers, Sheldon and Ricardo. And from 7, there was a lot of exercising in the park, at least 2, 3 times a week to open up my lungs. And at the age of 11 is when I started playing soccer officially with Malvern.
Okay, so you practice or you played competitive? You know, once you go youth to South League and rep. When
Yes.
did you get into the rep? I wouldn't see how much toe punch and stuff you kick, but did you get into rep?
I actually went directly into rep. I skipped house league. Prior to that, I did have some training with the IRE soccer program. So that helped me immensely to prepare myself to go directly into rep.
Speaking of the IRE program, is that the one that Mr. Manswell and Shecky and these guys had at Flemington? And how did you get into that and what was that like?
That's the same program, also with Mr. Parker and Reiner as well. Um, from what I understand, it was a group of kids that were brought together because the men were playing at the same field. And it started with the gentleman that you mentioned. And it was just a Saturday morning clinic. I would describe it as, where we got to play together and learn the game. And if I recall correctly, was as early as 8, 9 to midday. So a lot of hours were spent mastering the game, learning the game at that level. Of course, we were young, but as I recall.
All right. So as you said, that was a good prep to go into the rep. And for those in different parts of the world, when we say house league and rep, house league is beginners and rep is in competition. So any accomplishment in growing up, any memorable moments in your youth soccer growing up, because you sent me plenty pictures. Yes. How did it take off in Malvern? There's name big names pass through Malvern, and that's Malvern. What was the actual name of the club? And that's Malvern Youth Club.
Yes, I believe it was Malvern Scarborough Nationals at the time.
Right. So yeah, how was your progression through that club, and when did it take Scarborough, SCSC?
Yes. The early years were humbling years, I would say. I can't remember how much of how we did, but I do remember that there were some years closer to 16, definitely 18. At 18, we won the championship. And I believe we also won something around 16. But after we won the championship at 18, that is when my father, Joseph John, Smokey, brought the team into Scarborough Caribbean's umbrella.
The entire team, full team,
the full team went.
How did that go down with Malvern?
I don't think that Malvern had an opportunity for us to play in the senior leagues, as I recall.
Yeah. After asking that, I thought of that too. I guess that's the answer. So you're in Scarborough, I remember, and there I saw a young team now with Mr. Manswell as a coach.
Correct.
Starting to give you guys the exposure. Now, which exposure came first? What league you joined? Because eventually you start playing an IRE tournament.
Yes.
Right? So yes. What league did you join? Because IRE tournament is just an annual event, one day.
Yes. Well, as we were affiliated with the IRE program between Coach Manswell and my father and Shecky and Mr. Parker, we were actually part of the halftime show in the IRE tournament.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We were the ones that used to play with the Renee Martins and all those guys, right? So we used to play then. But after we left Malvern, we played in the multi-jurisdictional league, right?
Yeah.
We played there for a couple of years. Then we progressed to TND, the Toronto and District League. And while there, we went from second division, and the highest that we attained was first division.
Okay. Scarborough did make first division in TND?
We did, yes.
Could you remember, and I know it could be stretching you, but your brain younger than mine. Could you recall around what year that was and how long you stayed?
Yeah, I can't remember what year it was at this time, but it wasn't a very long time. And I remember we were in second division for a while before going to first division.
Did those you years first, or came within the first?
We were competitive. We were competitive. We didn't win it. And then after that campaign, that's where we went to the Malvern League, North York League. There was one other league we played in for a year, the Santos League, to where we are currently still out there in the public eye. We're currently in the Toronto Markham League, also known as the Maple Leaf Soccer League.
Well, now that you mention currently, this is what the public would like to hear. This is music to my ear here, because
Thank
there's not many functioning that I know about, and maybe I have to get back out there and find out who else functions. Um, I knew it seemed like we know it's COVID, so there was a halt in between, and the last I knew, you guys were not really functioning. But before we go there, how did the young players, is it just the agent system that you guys end up being an integral part of the management of Scarborough Caribbean, or potential having the information from your dad and being right there helping? What type of transition was it? Was it because you had the knowledge and you were there, or was it time that people figure, well, we should make a change here?
I was always put in a position of responsibility. I could recall as early as 16, 17, I would be calling players' house. Good afternoon, Mr. Is the player available? Just to let you know that we have a practice at this particular time. Because remember back then there was no big set of emails and stuff like that. So it was calling. So I was doing that from a very young age. Also, I had great mentorship through my father, especially Mr. Manswell. There are many others that contributed to where I am today. Shecky, Mr. LaFerrere from Mother Teresa, and forgive me if I forget a few, but the mentorship was key. And also, I would say that my club, Scarborough Caribbean Sports Club, groomed us and encouraged us to be leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
When there was an indoor league, I had part in running that at one point. At one point, I was a sports director. So this was a grooming, and I would say that I stood on the shoulders of the gentleman before me and respected them highly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a natural thing to do because from a young age, I was doing it.
Back to the sports director, I think I remember then because you guys also had a basketball and stuff like that.
Yes.
Who was the sport director before you? I still want to know if there was a little birdie in your ear saying, listen, I don't think I can do this much longer. You ready? Was there kind of, you would be it. Yes, you were calling because those are your peers that you were calling because it's a young team. I can get
Yes.
that. But now you're
Yes.
going into bigger level and more responsibility. So
Yes.
did you actually get that tap on your shoulder that from next year, or how did that work? Because again, it's a type of marvel, and you guys did well in terms of taking as the young guys the club. Maybe it's because all you guys seem to be close and stayed a long time. I don't know, but I want to know when you get that tap on your shoulder, because after it will be. I told you that already. You know, what I mean, you gotta float.
Yes. Yeah. It was a very long time ago, so I'll try my best. But I remember men like Alvin Adore, Magnus Fleming, Neville York. These men held those positions. Um, Greg Parker was also a sports director as well. He was encouraged to do that. So there was a farm system. I remember with our club, our philosophy was we were community based, and it was family first, soccer second. So if I joined the club as a member back then my wife and my kids were automatically part of the club. So we had that environment to flourish in, right?
I think you just hit it there, because
Thank you.
that's the image I got. Even
Yes.
from the youth system, if correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the players in that youth system, the under 10s and stuff, were kids of players.
Yes. Yes.
So it just grew from there.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so where the dances?
Yes.
Scarborough Caribbean dances. I don't want to use used to be. It's still functioning, is it?
Still functioning due to the COVID, of course. We didn't have it last year, but the year before, it was like 44, 45 years that the club has been doing that. And we were part of that as well. From as young as 16, we were helping out in the dance.
So are you guys now the 16-year-olds then, which you're pretty high numbers now that it's you are the guys now that are you grooming the younger ones now?
We're still in operation, definitely on the soccer side, and I know that they have to discuss what is going on with the dance, so there'll be more information on that as it unfolds. Of course, you have to have enough time to plan, so that time is getting short to do so. But if there's something, the word will definitely be out there. It's the same day all the time, the first Saturday in December, whether it be something virtual or more to come the following year. We'll definitely let our patrons know.
Okay, now that's Scarborough. Now, how will you guys, definitely a family.
Yes.
In terms of, I know you had your social events, your dances and stuff. When you were training at Flemington at 10 and 11 and stuff, were you aware of the league and stuff? Because the people who were coaching you, they weren't really playing in the Flemington league.
Go down to the Flemington league, but at that point, no, it wasn't really a focus. You were just there with your friends, your colleagues. You would work hard. And I remember fondly that after the workout and burning all those calories, we were happy to get a sweet drink. So a cream soda or grape, that was the highlight.
Now, was that brought by the parents or you had the big M?
No, that was bought by the coach. That was a happy moment after all of that hard work.
You didn't talk them into a McDonald's, man?
No, not McDonald's. It was just like a grape crush or a cream soda.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think of the whole evolution, seeing that you're around now, your entity? I mean, Scarborough been around, you say 45, so if you had the COVID, you're in
The club has been in existence since 1973.
Okay. You also had a stint at Centennial, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes,
what
yeah.
was the whole stunt at, and did you play at Centennial?
I actually played at Centennial. The nice part about it, with all that training that we did over the years, was that my brothers Sheldon and Ricardo, they were able to win OFSA in 1993 at Mother Teresa. I'm not sure if that was ever done again, but they were part of that program.
OFSA is the abbreviation for?
It's the Ontario Championship for the high schools. Not sure, yeah. So they won that in 93. I went to Centennial College, and 93, 94, we won the OCAA, which is the Ontario Championships for the men's indoor soccer program. If I'm not mistaken, it's either the first time that the men won gold and the women's team won gold. And the following year, I believe the women won gold and we won silver. So proud of that chapter.
I saw, yeah, a little glimpse of the picture. I didn't really study it, but anybody familiar was in the team with you that we might know, the community might know?
Yes, there was one player who I brought to Scarborough Caribbean, and he played with us for over 25 years. He was our golden boots. His name is Audley Taff. He wasn't in that picture. There's also Wayne, Isaiah, Andy, Sean Davis, who also came through the Malvern program. He was part of our program as well, and Scarborough Caribbean. So he was my colleague there, and a few other players. But it was a nice mixture of fellas, and we complemented each other well.
So, based on what you just said, is it safe to say you were the recruiter for Scarborough at that point in time, or it sounded like you were bringing
actually
in? Audley was a mainstay in this Scarborough team very early.
Yes. When I was able to play, of course,
Mhm.
I was able to encourage him to come to the program. And yeah, he stayed with us for many years. Another player that you'd know who was with us for many years was Michael Small, also known as Spanner,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
How he came to our program was he saw our under 17, under 18 team playing, and he approached Mr. Manswell and myself, and he became part of our family. So he's another long-standing member. In fact, he returned to the team this year. And there's another gentleman, Dane Parker.
Relative
He's
to
yeah,
Gregor.
yeah. He was probably playing um, on together with our team from 11 or early teens. So he's been there right up and he's still there today. He was our captain for many years. So we have this type of tenure in our program that we've been able to work with that core and
Yeah.
just add to it.
Yeah, because I think I know the other clubs and the structure and there's a lot of dedication there, but I think right now Scarborough and GS really push that
Yes,
family concept.
yes, yes,
Being
yes, yes.
around GS also, they believe in family and it goes a long way. I think you guys had a bonus because of the parents being there. I don't think you guys could have go anywhere like wrong. You had the guidance,
Yes.
and I think that Scarborough worked to perfection, if I have to say.
Thank you.
So it was good to get you on the thing. So that league that you're playing now, were you guys playing in that league before the COVID, or did you guys
Yeah.
not have a break beside the COVID? Didn't because I see you have you recruited some dynamo players in the twin brothers, James and John Lewis.
Yes.
I saw, Jason Davis.
Yeah.
So you guys went out to pasture. It wasn't just built in. I'm not going to sell the public here. You did some
well,
recruiting.
well, a lot of those guys, you mentioned a name there, Jason Davis, O'Neill, um, Brent Martin, those twins, Dean and Dale. Um, there's so many of them. Mike Azavero. They were on a superb Malvern team that used to win everything. I was the year above them. My brother Sheldon, he played a year above. O'Neill Brown played a year above, right? So we already had Sheldon O'Neill. When there were tournaments, Sheldon would go down and play with that team, right?
Mhm.
From that same team, a lot of those guys were at Mother Teresa,
That's
right?
as you talking.
I was also at Mother Teresa. So if you look at the roster on that team, we had several players from that team. I would say about 6 or 7: Hailey, O'Neill, Jason Davis, Darren Winston. Several of those guys played with Scarborough Caribbean as well.
Yeah, I saw you guys grow. So anything, did you guys take any official role besides playing at halftime? What you thought of the Irie tournament you played? I'm not seeing you in winner's circle, but you were an entity, and I could rely on you guys even when I tried to revamp the tournament that Mr. Manswell put you guys into the tournament, which
Yeah.
was so Scarborough was always an organization I kind of could have relied on.
Yes, yes.
So
Thank you.
what you thought of the whole thing and the tournament?
I thought that it was a wonderful experience culturally, as well as an opportunity to showcase your talent, right? We're always there at halftime, and there was a level of excitement. Looking forward to that halftime spot. I can't remember how much minutes we had, but I really enjoyed the tournament, and you had teams from different areas as well, and you had some very skilled players. I can tell you that as a young man growing up in the community, watching uh, the Iries, the Evertons, West Indies, but more so the Iries, as we were kind of affiliated with that program. As a young man, it was inspiring. You're seeing people carrying themselves well, having fun, and they look like you. So I think that as a young man growing up, seeing that, it was something to help you grow and mature quickly.
Well said. Well said. So where understand your brother Sheldon is the president of Scarborough Caribbean?
Yes. Sheldon is the acting president of Scarborough Caribbean, and he's been in that position for some time. So he's another good person to speak to. I more do the soccer
You said
side.
acting. You use the word acting.
Yeah, he's still the president. He's still the president.
When you say acting for some time, so I don't know, is he interim or?
He's been in the position for a few years now.
Oh,
so
okay.
when we have
I can take out the acting from it.
Remove the acting.
All right. Okay. And what about Ricky? I mean, I remember
Ricky. Ricky's he still comes up to the games. He's been doing for supporting the club. His story is an interesting story. He was probably the most talented sports-wise of the three of us. Ricky? Sheldon was,
so quiet.
And, he's quiet, but his story was quite ironic. I remember we went to play a tournament and we didn't have a goalkeeper. Now Ricky played basketball, he played volleyball, he did track and soccer, right? Mm-hmm. And he got stuck in the net, and the rest was history. So he was there for about he probably saved for us maybe 12 to 15 years. So in addition to the team being successful, that was a key part of it because we had consistency.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, as a manager of the team, the first player that I always call is the goalie. Once the goalie is good, I am all right to build from there.
So what you just tell me there, were you the official manager of the club? I know you act as the manager, whether you have a manager or not, because
yes.
You're official.
I moved into that role. So for example, I would do the calling, the organizing. We've had a great partnership with the Centennial College alumni. They've been sponsoring our program since 2004. I was able to secure that and work with them, and we thank them for their work in the community. And in terms of the changes and stuff like that, I would also participate in that role and give suggestions to Mr. Manswell. He was the coach. My father, he was the other manager. But in terms of the outreach to the younger players, that was my son.
Yeah, I knew that. That's why I knew it was you. So when you said you have an outreach program with Centennial,
yes,
it's ongoing. Is it through the alumni system or?
Yeah, my very good friend Hailey, who's also on the Mother Teresa team, he shared with me that there's an opportunity through their program as they do work in the community. And I would like to think because of being part of the championship team, mm-hmm. I had good relations, and I work with them very closely, attending events. I would even bring my wife and my son out to participate in events. I would give them a mid-season report and thank them for their sponsorship, and if we won, give them a trophy. Mm-hmm. So I work with them in that capacity. So they've stood by us, and I think that's definitely a big part of our success and taking some pressure off, right?
Okay, so Roderick, let me give you a wider scope now. Based on the development of the soccer here in Toronto and Canada, what do you think of the game? I mean, you put your team in, so you're still avid fan of and a supporter of, and your passion is within the sport. What do you think of the game, and what do you think the game need on the bigger scale?
Well, I think continue building at grassroots. I watch people like Dwayne and their camp, right? I have another player Um, David Higgins, he's from our camp. He's heavily involved in coaching. Continue at grassroots level. In our day, we had wonderful programs like the IRE Youth Program that helped us develop our skills, right?
Mhm.
The camps, I assume, are doing the same thing in that capacity. So build from the youth and continue to farm. I think farming is important, and they'll continue to grow and succeed from there using the talent that we have.
Okay. Do you have any youth program within Scarborough now?
Not at this time, but
How
I
old
would
is
say
your
this.
son?
My son, he's 20 years old. He played 1 year.
What?
Yeah.
Roderick?
I know that's prime age, prime age.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he played 1 year, but I didn't, I guess a missed opportunity was getting him involved as our parents and coaches
Mhm.
did. However, one nice story I'd like to share with you. There's a player in the club, gentleman by the name of Zico. He would have been one of the senior members. And in the gym, because we used to have a program at Albert Campbell where we had table tennis, basketball, we ran a basketball league, we had Scarborough Caribbean Youth Dance Ensemble, volleyball. So at one time we had a lot of programs. Anyway, fast forward, one of the clubs, Montreal Hilltoppers, which we still have a relationship with since the 70s, right? Where we go up there, they host us, they come down here and we host them. We were going up that year and I was in a little bit of a bind recruiting players. I remember I called a sheet full, like long so, of players, and the amount of regrets that I had made me start to sweat a little bit. Anyway,
Welcome to the club.
You know, so I leveraged my network, as they said, and Zico's daughter, Tamika, who's also helped with recruiting this year. I called her and I said, Tamika, I have a team going to Montreal and it's not looking too good. The first thing she said is, how many players do you need? She said, I have 4 for you. And those 4 players were Zico, his son, who I watched grow up as a young man, PD. He was our leading goal scorer last year. Zico's grandson, who's playing ball at a high level. I think he a couple of years ago, he won with Humber College, fantastic player, and his brother. So it's 3 generations of players that we had. So the family thing is key. And one thing that my father, when he was in the well, told me, I remember speaking to him when we visited him in the hospital. And I said, Dad, I said, Zico's daughter, Tamika, saved the trip, right? And we were able to bring these kids. And he told me, don't leave them behind. And I was able to recruit them and they played with us a couple of years. So that's part of the strength and the beauty of the team. One other quick story. I tend to take a lot of pictures. I've been doing so since 2000, right? Because I find it's good for men when they grow up and they have their family to be able to show their kids, this was me.
Yeah.
I don't know how many teams are doing that, but I like to do that, right? And I was able to find a soccer book with the same player, Zico. And I showed it to his son and his grandson that was playing. I said, look, your father was a member of Scarborough Caribbean.
Wow.
Okay.
That was my first link of socializing around was Scarborough.
It's been a wonderful journey. Another story at one point when Sheldon, who was at Mother Teresa, and his team, he was the captain of the team at the time. When they won OFSA, he was invited to play in the All-Star game, right? And then he was invited to the provincial camp, right? And I remember that he did well. One thing they told him was that they asked him who you're playing for. And he said, Scarborough Caribbean Sports Club. so they weren't really familiar with, you know,
Mhm.
our accomplishments. So they told him to grow your exposure, try to play with other clubs. But we, by that time, we were so ingrained in the
Yeah.
family business that it
Yeah,
wasn't
because
really
I don't think if you join Scarborough, your ambition, sorry to say, Scarborough
Mhm.
was offering something. It's the same like GS, because even with GS,
Yes,
I wanted to know how come they never go in the CSL or any, and they're not interested.
yes,
No,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
play at that level and everything else. So same with
yeah.
Scarborough. Scarborough, you guys have the social, because everywhere you go at all levels of sport, even if we want to win a championship,
Mhm.
building a family atmosphere gets
Yeah,
there. And Scarborough have that down pat built in from day one,
yeah.
and I hope you guys maintain it. And that's why it's important was to get to you, because
Thank you for having me.
I didn't know your son was 20. So I mean, I am ready for another generation of hearing from them, because I'm anxious to hear from you here now, and I could skip you.
Well, the younger generation, some of them are in basketball or soccer. It's kind of mixed, right?
Mhm.
Um, I mean, for us, that's all we knew. That's what kind
Are
of
they plentiful around though? Or you seen where something can happen? You can have like a under 16 or under 18, or
I
why did you run the same formula that you had from day one?
yeah. I was actually thinking about that seriously. There's a gentleman who came to our program, Anton Springer,
Hmm.
and he's working with the community right now through various church organizations. And I would like to get back to where we have an indoor gym and we, get people together, because I believe, as someone who passed through it, that having that mentorship is very important. So
Yeah.
even though my son doesn't play, I bring him to our team because you're seeing people who are principals. We have two players on our team that are directors of companies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That could give you that positive influence that you may not get or would not get from people your age, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think because you guys had multiple programs, man. The
Yes. Yeah.
tennis, the basketball, right at up at San Luis Circular, you're not so I used to always be around. I used to come
Yeah.
and take a
Yeah.
little thing with them, because Claude Scratch, we
Yes.
worked together for years, before he
Yeah.
went
He's
to Carolina.
yeah. He's one of the founders. He's one of the founders. Yes. Yes. I sent you that
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's Harry McNeely, Tony Edmond. There's a few of them. Mr. Rodriguez, Claude. Yeah. It's a small world. It's a
Yeah,
small.
yeah.
Mm.
So, Roderick, I want to thank you. Anything we need to cover on that? Any plans you have besides maybe getting the youth thing? I understand that your dance, the non-dance is top of the line. I came in the early years and then I faltered. And the last time you have had it before the COVID,
Mhm.
I already had a ticket. I was already planning to go somewhere else. I think I had a ticket for somewhere else. And I was
Yes.
negotiating with Mulligan. So he
Yeah.
said, well, if you switch, just let me know. I'll leave you a name and I'll leave a ticket. Right.
Yes.
So because we heard that Watchmen is second to none. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of the dance, I'll reach out to Alvin and Janet and Leslie and those guys to find out what's going on. I'm sure they'll have something. Again, it may be virtual. If not, should be everything ready for 2022, right?
22 look like the year, I think 21 is out of the
Yeah,
question
it
with
could be.
this.
It could be because you need time to plan, right?
Yeah,
So
and with the way the COVID up and down and stuff, you want to be comfortable. This is the
you
thing
want
you
to be
want to
safe.
let your head down and relax and take a drink
Yeah.
and stuff. You don't want to be concerned.
Yeah, I mean, even with the soccer, it was really it was a, it was a big decision to to move forward with it. and it's very important. I would, if I had anything to share, is try to move good with people, because from our 2019 team, we lost in the finals penalty shots, and we made it to the semifinals. We lost in penalty shots as well. From that team, we probably lost about 7 or 8 players.
To other
Right?
teams?
Scheduling. So they couldn't make the Sunday, because the league, we normally play on Saturday, and they joined the leagues together. So we're now playing on Sunday. So to come back and have a program after losing 7 to 8 players, it was quite the effort. So I was able to call on a player who played with us under the Malvern and Irie program and say, I need, do you have anybody you could recommend? The same lady I mentioned, Tamika, do you have anybody that plays with your son?
So it's working now. You have enough?
We have enough. We normally carry it.
For a little injury here and there too, huh?
Yes. We normally carry a roster of about 23 players.
Yes.
I would say that we have maybe about 19, but you have part-time players. So it's still very early in terms of stabilizing. But I like our chances. And I'm looking for something, hoping for something, some hard work, right?
One last question before we go. Did you guys run a league? Or it was just into league? Did you run a league with external teams, or just a league within the club?
We ran a house league in the club. So we had, I think it was like 4 or 6 teams, right? So I was part of that process. Again, learning from other sports directors, writing down the scores and who's top scorer, which is things that I have incorporated into this same program, right? But this was before my time, of course. I understand that Scarborough ran a league at West Hill, the Scarborough Caribbean Friendship League.
That's right. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And they had up to 12 teams.
That's what I thought. Yes.
Yes.
Right. West Hill. Once you mentioned West Hill, that's it. Yeah. Because I think Irie had an old boys team in there.
Irie had an old boys team. Yeah. I spoke to one of the senior members, one of my mentors as well, Alvin, Adore, Felix, aside from the obvious Mr. Manswell. And they gave me some information on that. There was one thing that was I would like to mention here. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. So we talked already about the different sports that we had.
Yeah.
Right. One thing that I learned, which was interesting, was that Scarborough Caribbean was formed from Unity. Some of the guys from Unity.
Yeah, I understand it under circumstances. Boyd kind of hinted it in his.
Okay, that was before my time, but I understood that the players in the East went and formed Scarborough Caribbean, and the players in the West formed Antillians.
Yes, that's how it is now. Yeah.
So,
but Unity end up being Antillians for what it's worth.
Yes.
So Unity is normal.
Yeah, so if you're a young person, don't be afraid to take part. Learn from some of your elders. It's a great it'll carry you far in life. And I think that the lessons that I was able to learn from the Mr. Manswell, the Shekis, the Mr. Parkers, Mr. John, again, so many to list. Alvin's, Felix, Magnus, too many to list. It's kind of helped me to know what hard work is and dedication. We do this for the love of it, right? I care about the team and us having a product and keeping the legacy going, as long as we could do it.
They were really close. I know they were all, most of the clubs and most of the club life and stuff. Scarborough was different.
Yeah.
You guys locked in big times.
Yeah. And I'd like to, thank Mr. Manswell as well. It's not often that you see, like he was around me. I was his first captain with Malvern, right? And so he's been around the family, but soccer-wise, I believe he coached us for at least 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really see that type of dedication. So that dedication is in my DNA from seeing what he did and what my dad did as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I wake up 6 o'clock, a little anxious, we have a game and I'm not playing, but I'm still anxious. You know, it's
You got
because you
that
want
from him
them
too.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Vivian Mangi would always be forever your coach.
Yes,
The
yes,
type
yes,
of
yes.
person he is and stuff. You know, you can have different coaches, but the way he handles himself, that's your coach. You
Yeah.
know, but I want to thank you for giving me the time,
Mhm.
the information.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
One person I forgot to thank is our coach, Lee. He was a player who actually scored the winning goal for us in our last triple championship, and he's moved up nicely into the program. And I thank him for making my role a little bit easier. So
He's the
each one,
present coach, no?
he's a present coach, so he's a former player and very dedicated. And I thank him and his family for their contributions to the team.
All
Continue.
right. Roderick, and in parting, I want to say your smile, you know, everything is like you're bringing it all back to me, man.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, you see, as you smile, as you give that smile, that's smoky self, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's smoky self, you know.
Yeah.
All right. So you take care and you stay safe and take care of your family and make sure to keep the club intact.
Yes, thanks for doing this and thank you for having me.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care. Bye.